Welcome back to another episode of the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. My name is Sebastian Lorenzo, your host. And before we get started on today's episode, I'd just like to thank our podcast sponsor, that is eState Photography. eState Photography is actually a real estate photography company that specializes in ground and drone photography and videography, virtual staging, Matterport, and floor plans. And they actually have a special promo going on for our listeners. If you mention to Carl or Matt, the owners, that you heard of them through the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast, they'll actually offer you a free drone shoot with your first listing that you do with them with the purchase of a ground photography package, which is 50 plus HDR photos for your listing, same day turnaround time for the price of $165. Now, normally they charge close to $300 for their ground photography plus their drone shoot, but they're gonna do it for $165 for the first listing that you do with them just by listening to our podcast. So that's it. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. I'm here with Anna Lee Rindskopf, team lead of the Anna Lee and Company home group of RE/MAX Traditions. How are you, Anna Lee?
Hi, Sebastian. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being here. I just want to, just kind of start things off by introducing yourself, how long you've been in the business, and volume is optional, of course.
Okay. So my name's Anna Lee Rindskopf, and I'm the team leader of the Anna Lee and Company home group. We are with RE/MAX Traditions, serving the greater Cleveland, Ohio area. And I have been in the business coming up on 6 years. And I love the business. I started my team 2 years ago. We are growing at a very slow and steady pace by design, and loving what we do. And it's such a tight-knit group and such a great fit for me, and in terms of being in the industry. So I grew up with real estate around me. My mom is Susie Laparo, who is one of the mega agents who's been in the greater Cleveland area for a very long while in the industry. My two younger sisters are both realtors. My dad was a home inspector, actually, for a while after he retired, and then he has since retired from that as well. My husband is a home inspector. My uncle's a builder. My Aunt Sandy was Smythe Kramer back in the day and a top agent. So, my entire family is somehow either real estate proper or real estate adjacent, and, that's just in our blood.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow, that's awesome. Seems like, literally everyone is attached to real estate in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
That's
my
cool.
sister Chelsea is an agent in California, actually. She's dually licensed, but she lives in Santa Cruz County.
Wow. Wow. So basically the Rindskopf, is Rindskopf is that your maiden name or your married name?
That's my married name.
Okay. Well, I would say that your family, I guess, spans across the country in real estate. That's awesome.
We do. We love it. We're good at it, and it's just in our blood.
It's awesome. So what do you, all right. So obviously everyone, in your family loves real estate. It's been in the real estate business for a while. So what do you personally, what do you love about being a real estate agent in Cleveland?
So, well, to me, that's two questions. What do I love about being a real estate agent? And then additionally about what do I love about being a real estate agent in Cleveland, but also just Cleveland and what my pride is there. So first of all, what I love about real estate really comes down to one word, and that's people. I'm a major people person. I love people. I'm an extrovert. I have just the need to be in people's lives, to be speaking with people, to be hearing from them. That's just part of my soul and who I am. I'm like a hardcore people person, complete social butterfly, and just a major empath too. I just love everyone. My heart is on my sleeve. That's just the kind of personality type that I have. And so getting to, be in this position of trust, honor, intimacy with so many clients, their families, whatever the circumstances are with, the people I'm working with at the moment. It's a huge honor to me, and it's something that I definitely don't take lightly. I really get close with my clients. We really always stay in touch afterwards, and we just love each other, and we make it fun. Obviously, real
Awesome.
estate process can sometimes be stressful. There's major ups and downs, and
For sure.
we just end up really creating a bond, and the trust is there, and we laugh a lot during the process, and I'm just like so happy to get to be in these people's lives to help them. And I'm just like a little mama
Yeah.
bear. Like, I just care so deeply about everyone that I work with, and it's a huge personal point of pride to just get them the best deal that is possible and to save them every dollar
Yeah.
along the way. And just, I find that
Yeah.
very deeply satisfying. And
Yeah.
it makes me feel like a tiny piece of their family and their tiny moment in their story, which I love that and take that as a huge special thing. But about Cleveland specifically, I'm a huge Cleveland booster and, major Cleveland pride. I grew up on the east side. I have been on the west side living for 22 years, and I ride a motorcycle. So because of growing up east, living west, and then additionally with being a motorcyclist, let me tell you, like, I know this town and the
Yeah.
grid. And, people are so silly with, like, oh, I'm east side, I'm west side. Like, Cleveland has such a weird east side, west side rivalry. And
I've heard
I
that
have
before.
never
Yeah.
participated in that because I've always been both for the longest I can remember. And, riding my bike, I'm all over the place and, I get around. Additionally, I felt that way about Cleveland before I became a realtor. But the coolest thing is, since I have been a real estate agent and since I have now been in so many homes all over town, east, west, whatever, in Cleveland, I really got this cool third eye perspective on Cleveland because, like I said, I
Right.
always felt like I knew Cleveland really well. And I was, a Clevelander who kind of like rose above the east side, west side thing. I feel like I get to see this third dimension of Cleveland now that is close to so many people. I get to see not only the homes in the different regions of town and the different architecture, historical history, and just some of the backstories of how Cleveland developed and why and which immigrant groups came where and why. And there was this factory that was, the job focal point of this neighborhood, or this neighborhood was built around this park, or whatever the origin stories of how modern day Cleveland came into its own. It's been really
Right.
amazing for me to not only get to see and be a part of that story as it's living and breathing, but to see so many different walks of life, how they live, how they keep their home. And, it's just such an intimate perspective to Cleveland, to Clevelanders, to our history, to our future. I don't take that stuff lightly, and I love my town, and I'm so proud of the Rust Belt story and our
Right.
post industrialist history and just our complete Great Lakes region. So,
Yeah.
I love what I do, and it's a dream come true every day.
That's awesome. That's a great response. I mean, I think a lot of people, sometimes might forget about the sort of, I guess, the origin story of the city that they live
Yeah.
in. So it's really cool that you really like take pride in that. And I think that's going to be a good segue to my next question because something that you are definitely, and we talked about this, is authentic to yourself,
Thank you.
and really yeah, absolutely. Everything that you like, really, like you said, you wear your heart on your sleeve. So everything you love is, what people see from you. So something that I think going through, so talking about like giving your clients the best experiences and taking a lot of pride in that, being part of sort of their, the family, for I guess lack of a better way of saying it. But we've talked a little bit about how you separate yourself by setting certain expectations or setting proper expectations for both buyers and sellers and for your clients. So I guess walk me through the process of what that looks like. What is your I guess process of setting these expectations for your clients for a first time home buyer?
Well, I don't really think of it as setting expectations, but I do think from a professional standpoint, it's important that the buyers are educated or buyers and sellers are educated by their team of professionals, be
Mhm.
it their realtor, their loan officer, their title
Yep.
people, the professionals that are assembled for their team do have a responsibility not only to the clients to keep them educated and informed about the overall process and each individual step as it comes, but it's also part of our fiduciary duty to make sure that they understand the choices that are before them for each crossroads of decision making as we go
Correct.
through the process. That being said,
Yep.
you know my process is this. For example, if I'm going to be connecting with a new buyer, I have a sort of first touch conversation that takes place where, um, instead of setting expectations, I think I'm more just explaining to them, how I do things, what I think, who I am, what I think some of the tips and tricks are for the sort of beginning stages of the whole process. So for me,
Right.
like, I introduce them to me. I explain to my buyers right away that we need to get them pre-approved before we get them inside a house. um, and just helping them to understand why, basically being that it's not that somebody isn't qualified or anything like that, but the way the market moves so quickly, there's just a really important order of how we go through the process, and it's so important to
Right.
do things like the right way in the right order. Just in case, for example, they were not pre-approved and they went to see someone in a house and they fell in love, and all of a sudden it was being sold that moment to someone else. I mean, we just need to be actionable. But that being said, I have some tips and tricks that I explain to my buyers immediately that I think put them at ease with how I operate, being able to trust me and recognize immediately that their best interest is my goal. So I talk to them
Yeah.
about, just understanding that there are two tiers to the real estate market and to the process of
Hmm.
purchasing. One would be
Sure.
the numbers pertaining to the house itself, the deal, the numbers about the deal. The second thing would be, sorry, I have a cat that has decided to settle on my desk. Okay, well he's laying down now.
Oh,
Sorry, this is distracting me.
totally
Yeah,
fine.
he's a little old man and he loves to be near me and he's distracting me. Okay, so anyways, there's two tiers to the home buying process. There's the numbers pertaining to the deal, which everyone
Hmm.
is aware of and everybody's focused on that. But there is
Right.
an equally important tier, which is the numbers pertaining to the money. And I explained to people, yeah, you can go get a mortgage from whoever, and that would suffice. But I think now more than ever, people realize they need to maximize every dollar at every turn throughout the process. And that is always my goal. And so I have some advice that I give to buyers about how best to get a mortgage. Here's the difference between different kinds of mortgage companies and different kinds of offerings, and that institution to institution there are various rotating different programs and packages that they might benefit from and so forth. So I basically give them, here's some names, here's some tips, here's some questions to ask, and then I set them on homework to do some due diligence calls, trying to make a verbal inquiry initially first to just get some data and do some research about how to get the best mortgage. And then once they determine who they want to use after they've made several calls and had some conversations, then they call just that person back and say, okay, you pull me, but not to be pulled and
Right.
pulled. So,
Correct.
just setting their expectations to me is a lot of times they don't know what they don't know, and just giving them the information to do best with
Right.
each move is part of my process.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I think most real estate agents, at least because I've talked to many real estate agents on this podcast and elsewhere, and I think that the education, and especially numbers, because I think that's one of the biggest parts of buying a house is like, how much am I going to pay for this mortgage? Especially because now your affordability is a lot lower than it once was when rates were a lot lower. So I think that's really awesome that you take like the time to give them this homework, right, for lack of a better word, which I think is really cool. So,
But I think that sets the
all right,
vibe with them immediately, that they see like, okay, I'm going to get extra attention. Anna Lee really cares about my bottom
Right.
line and making sure that I'm
Yeah.
doing good here, and that's what I do
Yeah.
care about, is making sure that they get the absolute maximized anything.
Yeah. And that's actually a great point. I'm glad you said that, because my next question was going to be, okay, so you do a lot for your clients, and I think most would say that you go above and beyond for your clients, and you really really care. How do you think that has really, like, number one, affected your business and also affected your clients directly?
Well, like I said before, I love my clients. We become very close, thick as thieves. And, I stay in
Right.
touch with everybody afterwards. But just, I would like to think and imagine that most real estate agents care about their clients as much as I do. I hope so. Um, that being said, everybody's dynamic in their personal life and home space looks totally different. For me personally,
Hmm.
I'm married, but I don't have children. I have my kitty cats. But I have a lot of me to give, and I
Right.
know that everybody's vibe is different, and somebody else might just not have as much of themselves to give. But for
Hmm.
myself, I have a lot of time. My energy is 100% focused on real estate and my clients
That's
without
awesome.
distraction. So that's me, and that's my dynamic.
Right. Right. That's really good. What do you think, if you had, and this is kind of, I guess, well, it's on topic, but I think that a lot of people, a lot of agents would benefit from this, because I think what you're saying is super true. And you have to give yourself all to real estate does wonders for your business, for your clients, because that, like you said, you're staying 100%, keeping them in mind 100% is what I'm trying to say.
Sebastian, my
So what do
clients
you,
think I'm crazy. Like, my clients will tell me, like, they'll say, "Why are you texting me back? It's Saturday night." And I'm like, "I don't know. You're asking me a
yeah,
question. I'm answering it." Like, my clients will tell me, like,
yes,
"Can you please go have fun or something?" And I'm like, "Oh my God,
yeah,
stop."
yeah,
So it's really funny.
yep,
Like, they can't even believe sometimes the speed with which I respond, or like they'll tell me,
yeah,
like, "Go take a break." I'm like, "Oh my God, stop."
yeah. That's so funny. I had a client this weekend. He was calling me about something, and he said he called me on Saturday. I was at the mall, and he said, "I'm so sorry to bother you on a Saturday." I said, "No, no problem at all." He called me on Sunday. He's like, "Oh, 2 days in a row. Don't hate me." Anyway, I think it's so funny because that same thing happens to me a lot.
I
My clients are
tell
like, "Hey,
them, look
Sebastian, like,
it.
take
I
a
say,
break."
listen, real estate doesn't sleep. Real estate is
Yes.
24/7. And in
Right.
the beginning, back to setting expectations. I mean, when I'm having that first touch conversation, I explain to them, I am here for you. If I am
Yes.
sleeping, my phone is on do not disturb. Otherwise, hit me up. And explain to them there's going to be
Yep.
a little moral support attention along with what we physically practically do. That's part of what I bring.
Yep. 1,000%. I love that. 100%. Yeah. So, what? Okay. All that said, I guess, what is some advice that you would give to a newer agent, or maybe an existing agent that wants to maybe have a better business overall? I guess, what's the best advice you can give to somebody who's in real estate?
The best advice I could give to somebody anywhere in anything is be positive. Um, I think just projecting a positive energy, um, and
Yeah.
and also be generous. I think being positive and generous and just living with, the go-getter, go-giver mentality and the abundance mentality. I think keeping
Yeah.
your attitude right and positive at all times is going to really be a huge factor for somebody's success in anything they're doing.
Yeah. 1,000%. And it's so funny because I think, going back to that whole thing where people say, like, follow your passion, it seems like real estate's your passion, and I'm sure it is. And I think that because it is, you're able to do so much better because you actually love it. You're not doing it for the money or like whatever. You're doing it because you really love it. You love your
Absolutely.
clients, and so yeah, and so you do it like way better. I think you do things way better when you actually love the thing that you're doing, right?
Of
So
course, anybody would. Yeah. And, when you
yeah,
believe in what you're doing, like, to me, every day I get to feel like I'm helping people to set up their future family wealth legacy and to
yes,
be a little covered maybe for their retirement because they have this house, or just to not be wasting money down the drain in renting. And, I get to feel really good about that every day.
That's awesome. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's sometimes real estate, like, again, and this is my opinion, I think that we try to create, like, I think real estate's more than just a real estate agent. It's the lender, it's the title company, like you said, it's maybe the financial advisor. It's a team of people who want to help you not only with buying a house, but with your financial goals, whatever those may be, right? And so anyway, so I really agree with that.
A couple weeks ago, I helped a 20-year-old pizza boy buy a house. I was so proud of this kid, so blown away by him. Yeah. And just, wow, boy, did that feel amazing. And how excited am I for this kid? He was so impressive. Yeah. If you could have seen my stupid ass at 20, I wish I would have been half as smart as he is. And he is,
that's awesome.
Really setting himself up for a great future. He 100%. Moved from his parents' house into his own house.
His new house.
This kid will have never spent $1 on rent. He's a smart kid, and he's going places.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, those moments, I love it.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. Yeah, well, Anna Lee, I really appreciate, you being on the podcast, sharing all this information. I think this is really good, not only for new agents, existing agents, but I just think everyone, and obviously I think it your authenticity and like your passion for real estate really like radiates. I guess I feel it. I'm sure everyone else will feel it as well.
Thank
you. Yeah, absolutely. So if someone, I guess, wanted to get in touch with you, I know we didn't really talk about you and your team and all that kind of stuff, but if someone wanted to talk to you about maybe joining your team or just connect with you, period, what are some of the best ways to do that?
So I'm on all the social media stuff. I have my Facebook, my personal Facebook is Anna Lee Rindskopf. My team is Anna Lee and Company Home Group, and we have a Facebook for the team as well. My Instagram is at Anna Lee Cleveland, and I'm super addicted to Instagram. Love all the socials. I'm all over there. I also have a YouTube channel under Anna Lee and Company Home Group. And, I'm all over social media. I'm very picky about people joining my team because I am scaling slowly by design, because I really give a ton of my personal time and attention to my new team members, and really look over every single one of their documents. They go on ride-alongs with me. In addition to the wonderful RE/MAX mothership education, I have my own personal classes that I teach, and I do buyer coaching on the side as well. Buyer's agent coaching on the side as well. But yeah, I'm all over socials, super present on there. My cell phone is 216-389-5389. I'm a completely open book, and I would love to hear from anyone anytime. That stuff completely jazzes me, and I'm just always ready to engage. So I would love to hear from anyone.
Cool. Yeah. And all that information that you gave, I'm going to actually put it in the podcast notes so that people can just copy paste or click the link or whatever, depending on how I'm able to format that. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for being on here. It was really great having you, and looking forward to, connecting with you soon again. Wishing you the best of luck this year.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. You're amazing. I appreciate getting to come on your cool podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. If you're a real estate agent in the Cleveland and surrounding areas, reach out to us on Instagram at Cleveland RE Podcast or send us an email at clerepodcast@gmail.com. And if you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow the podcast so you're notified of new episodes going forward. See you next time.